I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and it's time to get wealthy. You're going to learn exactly what you need to know and do to finally achieve the level of financial success you desire and you deserve. Women of color were responsible for 89% of businesses that were launched in 2019, but many of them will not even achieve six figures in revenue. So what do they need to do? Well, we need to do to finally get beyond that seven-figure mark. Well, joining us today is someone who's going to share exactly that. But here's what they don't want you to know about women of color starting businesses. The first thing is it's the fastest growing demographic. And secondly, only 2% of women-owned businesses even achieve seven figures. And then finally, 90% of those businesses don't reach six figures. And that's why I'm excited to have our next guest on. She's Betty Hines. She's founder and CEO of Women Elevating Women. She's a business strategist and has a platform designed to make sure that women of color get access to resources and capital. And that's why I want to welcome Betty Hines on Get Wealthy today. Thanks for joining us, Betty.
Hi, Deborah. Good to see you.
Good to be seen. Well, I'll tell you what is really interesting about you is that I've known you for years. You were a former financial services executive with one of the largest insurance companies in the world. You launched your own insurance company, just to give folks a little bit of background. And now I know for the past decade or so, you've been sort of a strategist with women-owned businesses. So I'm excited to hear your insight, but most importantly, I want to ask you, what was the catalyst for you starting Women Elevating Women?
My purpose and vision for starting Women Elevating Women, or WOO, as we affectionately call it, is because I saw a high number of a large volume of women of color who just couldn't get past the six figures. They were stuck. And a lot of it had to do with their inability to access capital, and not just access capital, but secure the capital. And they didn't know about some of the basics, which I call my 5 C's of success. So for that reason, I wanted to reach out to them and also share with them my victories, and not just my victories, but my losses, because they can't always embrace your victories, but they can understand your losses and missteps. And I did not want them to make the same missteps that I do. So that was the catalyst. I wanted them to go further and elevate higher.
It is true. Well, when you look at the statistics, Betty, that's one of the glaring aspects of entrepreneurship. And it's not just women of color who find it to be challenging. The truth is that 5 out of 10 businesses are going to fail within the past 5 years. Within the first 5 years. And so I think the question really becomes, how can you become successful in business? And I think that what I want to begin with is just the framework and the model that we use on Get Wealthy for success, and that's mindset, strategy, and execution. So I really want to start there with you, just around the mindset. What are the attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors that you believe women who are able to scale need to have?
Thank you for asking that question, because what I did, my 5 pillars are based off successful women entrepreneurs and successful executives. And I will jump to the first one, which the 5 C's is collaborate. And we don't have that mindset. I don't like to say this openly, but we're getting better at it. Women struggle with collaborating with each other. And for that reason, one of the things that I demonstrate in the sessions that I have is that you can go further together if you collaborate. So that is one of the things. And the other one are the business connections. We don't do the introductions for each other, because you know somebody that I might know and vice versa. So why not share that introduction so someone else can take it a little bit further? And as you've heard this said many times, lift as you climb. And these are just basics that we need to teach and learn from each other. So the 2 key out of the pillars are learning how to collaborate and learning how to connect. Those are vitally important. And those are traits, behaviors. That's a mindset that we need to learn how to embrace.
Well, it's interesting because I would submit to you that is not only relatable in entrepreneurship, but business as a whole.
True.
And so the next question that I have for you really is just around mindset. I know that there are a larger percentage of first generation entrepreneurs as women of colors and as women of color. And I wonder what your perspective is on that, maybe being an impediment to growing?
No, I'm not so sure I would call it an impediment. It's a learning exercise, and that's all part of the mindset. When I was growing up, we for me, didn't think about being an entrepreneur. It was always to work for somebody else. And to work for somebody else, scale that corporate ladder, and then you'll be successful. You'll be safe. So the mindset then was like you work there for 25, 30 years and then retire, and you're no more the good for that. You've helped that business soar and scale and be profitable, but they did that on your back. And that was one of the reasons why I made the decision to let's give it a shot. Let's become an entrepreneur. I'd rather have tried it than not try it. And we did do that when we decided to go out and become successful by launching a property and casualty company, a boutique company. So we did that. But it is a certain mindset. It's determination. It's wanting to be on your own and to have your own hours. You work very, very long hours, as you know, but just being your own and having your own, to me, is very fulfilling. And that's what I feel is my destination and my purpose here on this planet.
Well, it's interesting that you characterized it in that way, because that's one of the mindsets that we really talk about on Get Wealthy. And it is that income earner mindset that really is the traditional roadmap for success, right? College, career, climb that corporate ladder, and you'll get the golden ring. But what we have been finding is that if you look at just upward mobility in organizations to make those multiple hundred thousands in salary, that it's been very limiting for women of color. And so as a result, my question is to you, do you feel like that's why that number of 89% of businesses being started by women of color, that is why many women are exiting that corporate, that old income mindset and shifting to entrepreneurial pursuits?
Oh, absolutely. No doubt, no doubt. They want to be on their own. They want to be able to do multiple things. And when you sit back and you think about it, the time and effort, the time energy that you put into somebody else's corporation, you could be doing for yourself. And so you've learned, if depending on where you've worked, you've learned those basic skill sets, and they're transferable. Certain skills are very, very transferable. And I'm proud and happy that we're recognizing that and taking those skills, transferring it into our own, and then making it for our own, modeling it to something that we can work with.
Yeah, so I want to push back on you on that, and what I would say is that if I look at my own trajectory, and you've known me for years, I've been in and out of entrepreneurship in terms of organizations, and I found it so tough for many years to get past those six figures, because I do feel like one of the things when we go into entrepreneurship that we may diminish is the fact that we have this corporate business model of support around us, and it can be difficult understanding how to create that in a budding business, a new business, particularly when you don't have access to capital to be able to buy those kinds of services and hire people, right?
Right.
To have them around you supporting you.
You're right. Experience that myself. There's a comfort level when you're in corporate America. One of the, if you could, a do-over is that when we go into entrepreneurship, people of color, that not all, I won't label everybody, that we think about using our own money. We try to borrow from auntie, uncle, kids, what have you. Whereas those aren't lessons, at least I wasn't taught from my parents. Use other people's money. I mean, you hear that phrase a lot, and it's not just using their money, but we need to be taught how do you get access and secure that money. So until we learn those traits, we're unable to destroy the tradition of, okay, you use your own money, no debt, and not all debt is bad. So that is a change in our thinking, and it has to be that we encourage the other entrepreneurs of color to do likewise. That is why I think it's important that they have models. And there's a saying by the 100 Black Men, and I'll probably slaughter it, but they say, if you see it, you can believe it. I frequently bring other successful women of color into and tell your story. What was your journey? I mean, it's not like you came or gifted with a family trust. What steps did you take that allowed you and gave you the confidence and the courage to go out and get that funding, those grants? What did you do? What was your course of action? And that's what we need to push back and share with those who are coming up.
No, I really love that you said that, because we came right back to mindset again, risk aversion, debt being bad debt. And so much of that can be limiting. And to your point, I mean, when I started Owens Media Group, I, used funds from my 401k. I didn't take it out. I took a loan from it and paid it back. And I did all these different things that I felt necessary so that I wouldn't have even someone coming out of the investment industry with a higher propensity for risk. But on the personal side, what I didn't want to do was risk our personal assets. And that brings me, this is a great transition into our next conversation, and that's around strategy. So when we come back, we're going to talk about strategy. So what do you, if you are a business owner trying to scale, need to do so that you can accelerate your growth and go to six figures and seven figures and beyond? We'll tackle strategy when we come back.
Let's be honest, as successful women, we're crushing it. Maxed out 401k and Roth IRA? Check. Aggressive savings and investments? Check. Yet, the freedom our success was supposed to buy can leave us stuck on the six-figure hamster wheel, watching retirement slip further down the road. There's another way. Get coaching courses and community at wealthyu.com.
I wanted the people of Baltimore to hear it from me. I have done nothing wrong.
Prosecutor for the people.
But I see that what you are trying to do is destroy this black woman for doing her job.
I have heard your calls for no justice, no peace. However, your peace is sincerely needed as I work to deliver justice on behalf of Freddie Gray.
Maryland was a force to be reckoned with. I was assuming this is all because of Freddie Gray, but it actually is much deeper than that.
Baltimore's top prosecutor, a woman named Marilyn Mosby, was indicted yesterday in the Eastern District of Maryland for perjury. Couldn't help but think about Donald Trump.
This is what you got to deal with when you are a black woman fighting for just causes in America.
Yeah, but just taking on the police, period. She's stepping on their toes.
They want to cross her out of the system so she can't stand up for the preacher. Reached in the pool and grabbed me and pulled me out.
Imagine if this were you. You would want people to stand in your corner.
I lost my car. I lost my job. I lost my marriage. And I almost lost my mind for a little while.
It's just so much right now, Lord, and I'm just saying, why are you putting all of this on me? I'm about to break.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Deborah Owens, and we're talking about one of my favorite topics, and it is entrepreneurship and the fact that women of color are starting businesses at a rapid rate. Joining me today is Betty Hines. She's a business strategist and also founder of Women Elevating Women, WOO, as they so fondly call it. Betty, I really admire the fact that you saw a problem, and this challenge really is with women of color not accelerating their financial growth. And in your business, you have a platform that provides resources. And so I really want to get into strategy and talk about your specific framework that you alluded to, prior to this, that is kind of that framework for how women of color can succeed as entrepreneurs.
I share this with the women that I work with all the time, and that's we need to learn how to get out of our zip code. We so traditionally want to stay within our own little circle. We want to stay within our own little county and within our own state. You've got to spread your wings. I think that, and that's what I do with my platform. That's why it's virtual. You got to go north, south, west, east, and out of the country to get and gain knowledge from other resources. But that said, I am a huge proponent and I advocate peer advisory groups, and for a number of reasons. Get groups together so you can share your experiences with each other. Women learn best experientially and learning from other women and what they do and what they've done and how they got it done. So we shouldn't shy away from that. And not all peer groups are the same. But I encourage people getting with a peer advisory group. As they say, you can go faster alone, but you go faster together. It's great to be able to be in a peer advisory group. Bring your pressing issue to them if you have one, because you don't have a corner on that market. Some other business person has experienced what you have experienced. And so what they can do is share that knowledge to you. Like, look, and I don't care what industry you're in, because some will say, well, I'm in this field and I'm in that field. I don't care. You share the experience and they can give you some insight on how you can prove and how you can maybe do it a little differently. So that openness and willingness to accept that is the big part. that you don't know it all, and get in the right peer advisory group.
Well, it is interesting. I think about my own experience with different business groups, and I do think that if you, depending upon your background, if you've come out of a corporate background, I did feel like my investment background and all the issues that I had about compliance and, not divulging things kind of limited my ability to be really transparent, right? Thinking that, thinking from a risk perspective. And I do feel like for business owners, when you get out here, you kind of, you don't want to feel like you're putting your success in jeopardy. But one of the other questions I have for you is, you mentioned that you have a framework called the 5 C's. And you mentioned earlier, one was collaboration. What was the other one?
It's connect, collaborate, connect. Mm-hmm. And I do find it interesting that really the perspectives that you've given us really is about that ability to collaborate with others, and it being a catalyst for unleashing our growth, because we're basically getting insight, right? Real insight from actual people. And maybe we can compress the time it takes us to get to that next level because we've gained from their experience. Absolutely. And not everybody knows how to collaborate. There's different personalities. So that's why if you're in a group, that other person, that's one of the things that I do, because I've been around. I have no issue, and find an organization where there is an issue where you can just simply take that group and do the introduction for them on their behalf. So they can teach them. There's introverts, there's extroverts. We understand that. I'm okay with both. But do the introduction for them so they can collaborate. What my strategy is to bring two women together or organizations together and say, have you given some thought about collaborating based off the different skill sets and the attributes that are in each one of their businesses? Because people don't think like that. They always think of themselves as the Lone Ranger. So that is an art. It's something that can be learned. It's not always inherent, but they can learn it. And then the connection. The connect piece is everybody knows somebody, as I said earlier, that you can connect with. Make those connections. And that's what I do as part of my strategy, is connecting you, because I spend an hour with you going over your business objectives, and I'll connect you with another individual who I think they can enhance you not only personally, but also in your business. And those things are critically important, I think, to scale.
I love the way you're framing this, because I do feel like it's not, you kind of, how you are introduced in, right, can really accelerate that relationship, is because that person, and I believe this is the most valuable capital of all, is leveraging their social capital with you, right? Introducing you to that person that you already have a relationship with. And so as a result of that being very valuable capital, what is a strategy that someone can use to kind of fill the well before they draw from it? What kind of strategy would you say that can foster having people want to introduce you to people who can help you or make an impact?
I'm glad you said that, because there's a senator, Cory Booker, that would always say, people who want to drink from the well they didn't help dig. That's true in business too. So you on both sides have to be sensitive to the fact that this person took years or however long to build that relationship. So I take that risk. I take that risk with individuals and make that introduction. And you're absolutely correct in doing those introductions, because if I'm going to introduce you to someone and they know me, in their mind, you've already been vetted. I'm not saying they're going to do their own vetting process, but that's like a thumbs up. Hey, if she said that, you need to meet with this person, so that's like a thumbs up. So in terms of those introductions, it is hard. And what we need to learn as women, if someone does the introduction for you, show gratitude. And not just gratitude, because they didn't have to do it. Then don't just take that relationship and run. Take the time to see, what can I do? And I don't want to always say reciprocity, but what can I do to support their efforts so they can continue to do it and go forward? Because it can be draining when you're constantly giving, and people are sucking all the information from you. You need to be fueled as well. So that is something else that I share with the women that I work with. There's a balancing act there. You can't just always take. You have to give as well.
And that was the point that I wanted to make, because I do feel like I know people who are very generous, and I know you are one of them, Betty, someone who is willing to share their network with others. And I do feel like what can happen with many women is they feel like they're giving, and they're not getting anything in return. And that in itself can be an impediment, right, to wanting to do what you should do, but feel like, you're being taken advantage of. One of the other strategies that I want to make sure we touch on in this segment, that is that what you mentioned in the beginning, and that is access to capital. What advice would you give women entrepreneurs about finding asset to capital that is, how do I want to put this from my investment side, that is not onerous, right? And that is good terms.
Right. Well, to me, it's a coin phrase right now. Access to capital, access to capital. One of the conversations that I have with my group is, do you know what you're trying to access? I mean, you need to know, what are you trying to access? Because it's like a new term that we are using. Do you want the VC money? Do you want the angel investor? So I make sure when we sit down, access is very key. But you need to know what you want to access. You need to understand the terms, because access is one thing, but you got to pay it back. The investors want a return. So it could be you just want to go to small business, get a small business loan, or go to your bank. So there needs to be the understanding. But having talked about the access, because we've talked about access, everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but there's a lot of corporations, banks, who have you, in corporations jumping on access to capital. It's out there, but securing it, to me, has been the stopgate for a lot of people. And I'm working through that right now. I know it's out there, but how do I get it? I mean, got everything in line, paper in order. When you going to give it to me? How do you secure that?
That's exactly right. And I feel like that's why, that's the frustration that people feel. And so this is a great time. We're going to transition to our execution. And that is the point that you were making. It's one thing to want access to capital, but what are the steps that I need to go about to make sure that I'm able to secure it? So when we come back, we talked about mindset, we talked about strategy, and the third part of our success framework is execution. And that's what we're going to talk about next. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I wanted the people of Baltimore to hear it from me. I have done nothing wrong.
But I see that what you are trying to do is destroy this black woman for doing her job.
I have heard your calls for no justice, no peace. However, your peace is sincerely needed as I work to deliver justice on behalf of Freddie Gray.
Marilyn was a force to be reckoned with. I was assuming this was all because of Freddie Gray, but it actually is much deeper than that.
Baltimore's top prosecutor, a woman named Marilyn Mosby, was indicted yesterday in the Eastern District of Maryland for perjury. Couldn't help but think about Donald Trump.
This is what you got to deal with when you are a black woman fighting for just causes in America.
Yeah, but just taking on the police, period. She's stepping on their toes.
They want to cross her out of the system so she can't stand up for the preacher. Reached in the pool and grabbed me and pulled me out.
Imagine if this were you. You would want people to stand in your corner.
I lost my car. I lost my job. I lost my marriage. And I almost lost my mind for a little while.
It's just so much right now, Lord, and I'm just here. Why are you putting all of this on me? I'm about to break.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach. You've been watching Get Wealthy, and hopefully you're learning something about getting wealthy through entrepreneurship. My guest today is Betty Hines. She is the founder of Women Elevating Women, and it's a virtual resource platform that helps women of color get access to resources of all kinds. So Betty, welcome back, because I think it's so important. So often what I see with women is they have an idea, they write a business plan, they do all of the legwork, but then they don't execute, right? And I really want to talk about now, you have this 5C strat, the framework of 5 C's, which is your success framework and Women Elevating Women. What aspect of that helps women to stop thinking about it and actually get things done?
It might sound very simple, but the other 2 C's are I have the communicate pillar. I have the communicate and the courage pillar. And if I can just explain what that means, the communicate pillar in terms of getting the access is branding. And that's what it falls under, branding. How are you communicating? And what I tell a lot of women, and these are just little basic things, and I am not judging, I'm just telling you what I know, is that when you're trying to secure the capital, when they first see you, it's like walking into the door of the bank. They see this. They see how you dress, they see your skin. They also see that when they go on your website and you're trying to brand. So that is very important. And I'm going to say this and don't mean to offend anybody, but take that selfie photo off your website. Because you're talking about your brand. And the other thing that I tell them too, and it doesn't take a whole lot. And the same is with your email. These are little simple things. I have a Gmail account. I have a Verizon account. But when you want to have your business account, spend a couple nickels, get you that, call it DeborahOwens.com or something, but have a business account. Look the part that you are a business. So that is, because that's what they see first. Before you even get in the door, they're going to do their homework. They're going to go on your LinkedIn. They're going to do some due diligence on who you are. So branding, I think the personal branding to me is very important in terms of getting your business and securing that capital. And the other piece is I talk about is courage. And I talk about courage to take care of your health and courage to take care of your wealth. Now I'm dipping into your side of the field, but without your health, you don't have your wealth. So I do bring people in. I've got doctors to talk about your health, particularly for women, because we think we're super women, and I know you take off that cape, but it was more prominent during COVID. we found ourselves, a lot of the women that I have, would have kids, they're fixing breakfast and lunch and they're doing this and they're doing that. And it was affecting not just the physical, but the mental health. So also the finance, stop trying to do it all. See someone like a Deborah Owens and the few money that you do have, learn how to invest those funds. You are not going to know everything. So get the right people on your team. And that is a critical piece, not just for your business, but for your legacy and for your family. So make sure, and I bring in people who are CFPs, I bring in financial people to talk to the group about how to protect your finances.
Well, it is interesting. I think for entrepreneurship, very early on, even coming from this background, so much of my desire to want to be successful caused me to, because I didn't have that system in place that I had in corporate in terms of a 401k and all of the other benefits, the health savings accounts, the life insurance, all of those other benefits that I had through my employer. I really didn't know how to make that transition. And I think it goes back to mindset. Oftentimes, if we look at those statistics, what we see that the reason our businesses aren't moving beyond that 6-figure level is simply because we've created a job. And so we still have this employee mindset, even though we are a business. And so I guess my question to you, Betty, really is what, because I love the fact that one of those C's are courage. And I feel like sometimes we won't ask for help for fear, or have the courage to ask for help for fear of being judged on, or how we would be perceived.
Mm-hmm. You're right. And I'm in that box. I had to do a personal SWOT analysis. And when I did, because there's the business SWOT, and I did the personal one, it was so revealing that I did not want to ask. Now, I can ask for everybody else, but I didn't know how to ask for myself. So it's very revealing, and that is typical. I don't want to. I said it. It's typical woman of color. We don't want to ask for help. We can do it. We can do this and do that and do that and do all these things. Do all the jobs. But we got to step back. If you're going to run a business, you got to step back. And it's to bring on the right people. You don't have to hire them, do a 1099. Bring on the right people to help you where their expertise is their expertise. If you're going to run it like a business. And the financial piece to me is huge. I have a CFP that's working with me because you're right. In the corporate world, you had all those, the 401ks and all those other bennies. You had stock options, all that. But now with being a business owner, what I do is that I have under our courage pillar, I have those financial people, and there's different areas of finance. So I bring them all in. They meet with the Woo crew and they talk to them and tell them what the benefits that they have to offer. And then they can meet with them one-on-one, because that's something else that we don't do and that I do in our peer advisory group. We have these incredible women. So I give you a platform to talk about what you do. There's nothing wrong with talking about your business. I have no problems with you soliciting business. If it's going to help someone else, that's why you're in Women Elevating Women. In order to elevate them, they need to know what you do and what you do well. So these pillars also provide a platform for the other women to talk about. And it's like a rehearsal. To do a rehearsal on, this is what I do and this is what I do well. And it's also a lesson.
Yeah, there's no, that's the whole point of being in business. And not only that, I come out of sales and I love to sell. But the reason I love to sell is because I believe I'm serving, right? Mm-hmm. Like if I really have if I believe in what I do, and I know that it's going to impact someone in a significant way, then I don't have to feel shy about telling them that. Mm-hmm. But now I want to ask you about, and I feel like when we look at the other side of those statistics, the fact that 5 out of 10 businesses fail within their after their second 5 years, if you will. I mean, 9 out of 10 businesses, I think, after the 5th year. The question I have for you, as someone who has been exposed to so many businesses, how do you recover from a setback? What advice would you give our viewers?
Well, for one thing, I would suggest take the learnings from it. You need to do a business analysis as to what could I've done differently? What steps could I've taken differently? And don't do it by yourself. Do it first, but then get some trusted advisors to give your opinion. I would like to think that you have an advisory council, because if you have people, you don't have to be a $10 million or $20 million business. Get you an advisory council and run those. Make sure you're bouncing those ideas off your advisory council. Because
Betty, you just mentioned that. I want you to explain to our viewers what an advisory council is, because sometimes I think we look at it as, sort of a board of directors, but an advisory council is more, would you say, informal? And how would I go about crafting one for myself?
Great question. I have an advisory council. One of the first things I did is look at my own competencies, and I did like a grid. What are my strengths, and then things list the competencies that I need assistance with that I'm not strong in. Marketing and the social media and all that. And that's who you recruit, and you let them know up front, like, I need your support, not help. I need your support. I need your support in being on my advisory council to help me, to assist me in taking this to the next level. If you look at my website, take a look at the advisors that I have to the CEO. And we're going to be posting my advisory council. But the advisors to the CEO, these women, 4 of them, are 50 fastest women-owned led business. You will find that women, and this is women, they want to help, but people have that fear. They don't have the courage to ask them for their support. Ask them. So they say no. And you're in sales. You know what a no means. That's just an opportunity to go ask again. So you ask them.
Or it's not now.
It's
right?
not now, right. So ask those people. Yeah, ask those people to come on. That's what I did. And I've been very grateful that I do have advisors to the CEO that are doing $600 million and the first Black woman to take 2 companies public on the New York Stock Exchange and SPACs. And I have that. I have a marketing person doing $100 million that's going to take me up on, and I'm okay with it. I have no shame. Yeah, yes, I will be there. We can show me. But the council, you really need to get people, be honest with you first about, I'm not really good at that. Like, you could learn it, but why take the time when you have others out there that know how to do it, and that's what they do on a daily basis?
Well, I think you've given us so much wisdom, Betty, because I do feel like as a woman business owner, that when you see someone achieving a certain level of success, that you can feel like, oh, well, she's so busy, I don't want to be a bother. And I think, what I have learned, what I have learned is it's those busy people that are the ones that are the most efficient and effective. And I think the other point that you just made is so poignant. And it really, sometimes when you're growing a business, when you're in your early stage, you may not be able to afford to hire some fancy business development firm for tens of thousands of dollars or marketing firm. But one of the ways that you can still get access to that insight is through that advisory council. And then finally, the other aspect of it that I think is very important is sometimes I know I've hired people and I've been disappointed. And part of that error in judgment was because I didn't know what I didn't know, and I didn't know what to ask them. And sometimes people proffer and they say they can do this, they can do that. You can even go on their website, you can get referrals. but it never really quite tells the whole story. And I think the point that you're making, the advisory council really can be a way of you getting that access to that expertise, someone knowing your business as well, without having, to feel like you've got to have tens of thousands of dollars to do so.
And you don't need to have 10, 12, 15 people. Start off, an area where you're comfortable with. You can have 2 to 3, but there's so much value in getting another opinion and to have another set of eyes on something, another set of ears on how do you think this is working, and be open for that positive feedback.
That's good. That's good. Well, Betty, that takes us to our next segment, and that's our Analyze, Optimize, Maximize segment. You've covered a lot of ground, and so I want you to think of this next segment as our lightning round. How are we going to put all this together so that ultimately our viewers can take action on the great insight that you've given today? So don't go anywhere, folks, because next is Analyze, Optimize, and Maximize. We'll be right back.
I wanted the people of Baltimore to hear it from me. I have done nothing wrong.
But I see that what you are trying to do is destroy this black woman for doing her job.
I have heard your calls for no justice, no peace. However, your peace is sincerely needed as I work to deliver justice on behalf of Freddie Gray.
Maryland was a force to be reckoned with. I was assuming this is all because of Freddie Gray, but it actually is much deeper than that.
Baltimore's top prosecutor, a woman named Marilyn Mosby, was indicted yesterday in the Eastern District of Maryland for perjury. Couldn't help but think about Donald Trump.
This is what you got to deal with when you are a black woman fighting for just causes in America.
Yeah, but just taking on the police, period. She's stepping on their toes.
They want to cross her out of the system so she can't stand up for the preacher. Reached in the pool and grabbed me and pulled me out.
Imagine if this were you. You would want people to stand in your corner.
I lost my car. I lost my job. I lost my marriage. And I almost lost my mind for a little while.
It is so much right now, Lord, and I'm just here. Why are you putting all of this on me? I'm about to break.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Deborah Owens, and this is Get Wealthy, and we've been talking about entrepreneurship today. Women of color are one of the fastest growing segments. However, when you look underneath that hood, what you see is many aren't growing. And so joining me today is Betty Hines. She is a business strategist as well as founder of Women Elevating with Women, a virtual platform really designed to help women scale. And Betty, welcome back, because now it's our Analyze, Optimize, and Maximize segment. And what I'd like for you to kind of share, I love the framework, so that if you can perhaps in this round, give our viewers an overview of what the 5 C's are all about.
Sure, love to. The 5 C's are collaborate, connect, communicate, and we talked about courage. And courage is both the health and the wealth. And the last one is cultivate. Cultivate is we gift, just so you know, a membership to a nonprofit to each one of our crews. Giving back, cultivate women. And that's each one of them is a woman business owner, a nonprofit. So that's my 5 C's.
And one of the things that really struck me that has been a theme through each one of the segments that we've been through, mindset, strategy, and execution, has been collaboration. And I wonder, as you look at other entrepreneurs and all of these successful entrepreneurs, if that's something that you have noticed about them that they have in common, that ability to collaborate effectively with others.
Absolutely. In fact, they're based off successful women entrepreneurs and executives. You know, I've been doing this for a while, and I facilitated women who are from $1 million billionaires. They all have those characteristics in terms of collaboration, and they make those introductions for each other. They have the courage. They're going to take care of their health, and they take care of their finance, and they are always reaching back in terms of cultivating. So yes, these characteristics you will find in successful women. Just read about them, entrepreneurs and executives.
And how, lastly, Betty, I'd love for you to leave our viewers. You have spent almost 2 decades advising and being very intimate with successful women entrepreneurs. If you could reflect on the one thing that you feel every entrepreneur needs to acquire, whether it be mindset, whether it be strategy, what's the one thing that you think is critical and that can make the most significant impact?
I feel it's your personal brand. And with your personal brand, people might try to copy what you do, like how many CFPs are out there, how many doctors or OBGYNs are out there, but they cannot execute the way you do. So I think it's important that you have your brand, you know what your brand is. And if people want to model your brand, consider them a super fan. That's a compliment. So once you have your brand, people know who you are and what you represent. The other things you attract the positivity. You have banks and corporations that want to partner with you. So I think first and foremost, establish your personal brand.
That's good. And I think the point that you're making, Betty, and that the other side of that coin is sometimes as a woman entrepreneur, you might not be as forthcoming or as gracious or willing to collaborate for fear somebody might take your idea or that you'll be giving something away. When in fact, the point that you made, it's one of our 7 wealthy habits, is everybody has a unique competitive advantage that can differentiate them. And one of the points that you're making, that could be brand, and that's something that you've seen across the board with successful women of color.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, Betty Hines, thank you so much for coming on and really sharing your wisdom on what women of color entrepreneurs need to do in order to accelerate their financial growth to 7 figures and on. Please tell our viewers how they can learn more about what you do.
Sure. We just had our kickoff on January 11th, recruiting more Woo Crew members. Go to woocrew.com. That's WEWCREW.com. And you will enjoy hearing from successful women and testimonies. And then there's information on how you can become involved. Join us.
That's awesome. Okay, well, folks, thanks for joining us on Get Wealthy. But before we go, here are the 3 takeaways from today's show. I'll share that with you when we come back.
I wanted the people of Baltimore to hear it from me. I have done nothing wrong.
But I see that what you are trying to do is destroy this black woman for doing her job.
I have heard your calls for no justice, no peace. However, your peace is sincerely needed as I work to deliver justice on behalf of Freddie Gray.
Marilyn was a force to be reckoned with. I was assuming this was all because of Freddie Gray, but it actually is much deeper than that.
Baltimore's top prosecutor, a woman named Marilyn Mosby, was indicted yesterday in the Eastern District of Maryland for perjury. Couldn't help but think about Donald Trump.
This is what you got to deal with when you are a black woman fighting for just causes in America.
Yeah, but just taking on the police, period. She's stepping on their toes.
They want to cross her out of the system so she can't stand up for the preacher. Reached in the pool and grabbed me and pulled me out.
Imagine if this were you. You would want people to stand in your corner.
I lost my car. I lost my job. I lost my marriage. And I almost lost my mind for a little while.
It is so much right now, Lord, and I'm just here. Why are you putting all of this on me? I'm about to break.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and you've been watching Get Wealthy. And today we were talking about women of color and entrepreneurship. Here are the 3 takeaways from today's show. Number 1, proximity dictates performance. And getting in a room and collaborating with other women, as our guest so aptly put today, is one of the keys to success in your scaling. Secondly, position yourself to prosper with others. And that really means, in the way Betty described it, that personal brand is very, very important because you're going to attract like-minded people. And last but not least, and she could not have said this more aptly, and the fact is no one accomplishes anything of significance on their own. That's going to do it for me this week on Get Wealthy. Thanks so much for watching, only on Black Star Network.